I encountered him because I was in Max 9 for a period of time, and I was getting ready to be separated from the Marine Corps, and so I was shipped from my outfit back to El Toro for separation. And so while I was there waiting to be separated, I decided to drive over to Max 9 to see if any of my buddies were still there. And I came into Max 9 and went into the supply shed where I was looking for a duty roster. And there was this guy sitting on the floor. Later it turns out to be Lee Harvey Oswald. He's sitting on the floor and he's reading Pravda. Now, you can understand, this is 1958. Communism, Russia is like the enemy, man, as bad as it could get. And this guy's reading Pravda. And I'm going, what are you reading? And then he starts spouting all this communist stuff, and I almost got into it with him when one of the other guys grabbed me and said, he's harmless. Never forget that. So why doesn't somebody do something about him? How can you have a Marine sitting here, spouting this Russian communist propaganda, not Russian, communist propaganda? And they said, he's harmless.
Years later, when you put two and two together?
Yeah, I didn't put two and two together until when Kennedy was shot, and I saw Lee Harvey Oswald's photo. I just came forward out of my chair and said, I know him. And my wife said, no, you don't know him. You just think you know him, a familiar face or something. I said, no, I know him. And she said, where? And I'm going, I don't know where, but I know him. I've seen him. And then they announced that he was a Marine. The minute I heard he was a Marine, I flashed back and I went, that was the guy I almost got in that fight with at Max 9 in the supply shed. Do
you have an opinion about his capacity to have committed it alone?
Oh, absolutely, he committed it alone. Not a doubt in the world he committed it alone. When Oliver Stone made JFK, my son Michael was about 14, came home from watching that movie and gave me this whole conspiracy thing and all the crap behind it. And I sat Michael down and said, look, none of that is true. Here's what happened. Because I had worked in Dallas, and I had gone to the book depository. This is before it was even a museum or anything. I had gone there. I'd gone into it. I had looked at it. I decided then to make an episode of Quantum Leap about that. And that's the only time I ever made an episode of Quantum Leap about something that really happened. Never did that. It was always, when I created Quantum Leap, people said, well, how can you can't travel in time and change anything because it'll have a ripple effect and, who knows what happens. And I said, well, sure you can, as long as what you're showing is very minor and nobody knows about it. You can make it anything you want. So I stayed away from anything real. But I did it in that. And my problem was I made him leap into Lee Harvey Oswald. And my problem was, how do I, have him change something for the better? Because, he was always to put right what once went wrong. That was the thing. Sam would leap in, put right what once went wrong, which he never knew what it was. He had to figure that out through the episode. And finally, it hit me. And what I did is the episode where at the end, of course, he's Lee Harvey Oswald, and just as he's ready to fire, he morphs. So I had Sam leap from Lee Harvey Oswald into the Secret Service agent who jumped up on the back of the car and went forward to grab Jackie. And then the thing that Dean Stockwell, Al, told him as he sat in the hospital and said, I didn't change it, he still got killed, was, yes, you did. Originally, Jackie was killed too. So that's how I got that changed. But I did that whole episode to show my 14-year-old son. One person did it. And I recently saw on one of the Discovery channels or something a complete computer reenactment using all the angles. I mean, a very scientific approach to it that showed exactly how it happened and that Lee Harvey Oswald was the shooter. I mean, even down to things like, Kevin Costner in JFK says, and here's this bullet that comes down and goes through the president and then hangs in the air for a second and a half and then does a right turn and does all this and that. Well, the truth is, as it showed in the documentary I saw, that Governor Connolly and the president were not seated directly behind each other. Governor Connolly was, I think, inboard of the president. So when you look down on top, it was inboard. And when you drew the line from Connolly's wound straight through the Kennedy's neck, straight back to that window on the book depository building. And a conspiracy, you couldn't keep a conspiracy quiet all these years.